Hi, my name is Pete Hahn, and thank you for watching this tutorial video. Be sure to visit www.hahn-tech.com for the full library of video tutorials. I hope this video increases your knowledge and helps you become more efficient with this topic, whether for home or work. Please support this channel by sharing these videos with your friends and colleagues. Hi guys, welcome to today's video. In today's video, you'll see how to build some custom scans based upon the Ichimoku study. It's a built-in study on the Thinkorswim platform, so the code is already available. And the code that I'm providing via a link in the video's description will be available to you to download and install on your Thinkorswim platform. And I'm going to show you in this video how you can use that code to build a custom scan. I'm going to show you how the custom scan signals are picked up. We're going to be covering a total of 4 setups, 2 long, 2 short, and there's going to be 2 variations of each. There's going to be one raw signal and there's going to be one signal with a confirmation. So there's going to be a total of 8 signals available that you can scan for, one at a time, using this code. I want to give you background on today's video. Since I had no experience with the Ichimoku study, I did remember that one of my mentors, Hubert Senters, had used it extensively, and he did quite a lot of explanation during the trading room. And I decided, okay, let's go look up some of his stuff. So I did a Google search. So I'll provide these links in the description of the video below. And what we've got is session 1 and session 2 of what Hubert Senters calls Ichimoku 101. I think they were done towards the end of 2013. And so what I did is I decided I watched 2 hours worth of video. There's actually more than 2 hours worth, but I watched about 2 hours worth of video. And in today's video, we're going to be covering his signals. We're going to be covering the one at the bottom here, the turning line crossing the standard line. And then we're going to be covering the price crossing the cloud and the lagging line crossing the cloud. The lagging line crossing the cloud will be used in my custom scan as confirmation. So really we've got the 2 signals that we're going to be covering, the price crossing the cloud or a breakout, and the turning line crossing the standard line, which is going to be a trend continuation signal. Okay, so I should explain here that Hubert Senters uses different terminology for the different lines in the Ichimoku, and I'm going to be using his terminology because I don't want to try to pronounce these names and I'm going to end up offending somebody. So I'm just going to use the turning line, the standard line, and the lagging line, and then span A and span B. And that's so if you need an explanation of how those terms translate into the actual lines on the chart, I'll show you real quick how that is interpreted there. And let's get this out of the way too, and let's get started. Let's close out of Internet Explorer. Great, so now we've got the chart going. And a couple of viewers have been asking about this colored columns that I've got here on my upper watch lists. You can see the blue, the light blue, the dark blue, the red. That's all based upon a TTM squeeze, and it's color coded to match the histogram on the TTM squeeze. I'll be doing a video on that in the future, probably next month or so. So keep an eye out for that video. A couple of viewers have already asked for it, so it's built into the Thinkorswim platform, and I don't have to expose any source code. So I'll show you guys how to do it. It's pretty simple. Okay, so let's dig in here, and I'll begin by showing you the lines on the chart and how I'm using the terminology from Hubert Senters, and so that you guys can follow along. And before we get into those details, it's a good time to remind everyone I am not a professional trader. I am not here to teach you profitable setups. I'm not here to teach you what to buy or sell or when to buy or sell. So nothing in this video should be interpreted as a recommendation or an advertisement to buy or sell any financial instrument. Okay, so suffice it to say, however, I am basing the scan signals upon the teachings of Hubert Senters, who actually is a professional trader, and he has his own disclaimer. And as you watch those videos, you get a good feel for how he interprets the Ichimoku, and then you will be able to understand the scans that I've built in here, and you'll be able to put it all together and understand what they're doing. Okay, so let's go into studies and edit studies, and we'll go ahead and go into the settings here. We'll press the gear icon, and you can see this first line, it's a white line. I've changed the color from the default because the white stands out for me a little better. This is what Hubert calls the turning line. It's the shorter line, and it's based upon a 9 periods. The next line is blue on my chart, and again I've changed it from the default. It's a blue, and it's based upon a 26 period, and Hubert Senters refers to that as the standard line. Okay. Next you have span A and span B. That's pretty standard. I haven't changed those. And then you have this final line here, and this is the one that Hubert Senters calls the lagging line. And that's exactly how I will be referring to these. And again, I've changed the color on this one too. And these are colors that help me to interpret what's in the chart and tell them apart, differentiate from one to the other. Okay, so we can press cancel here, and then we'll go in and look at some of the code, and I'll show you the scans and how you can turn the scans on or off, and then we'll get into running some scans. Okay, and we'll get started by pressing the script icon here for the lower study that I've created, and this is the scan for Ichimoku, and we'll press that script icon and we'll scroll down to the bottom. Basic code that comes with the Thinkorswim platform is essentially here. Okay, I've added a couple of inputs. One is a look back period and one is breakout bars. The look back period is used to determine the sensitivity, looking back in time, whether the price action is above or below the cloud before it crosses. So it tells how many bars back to look to make sure that we're actually making a good solid cross and not chopping across back and forth. Okay, so you can adjust that parameter as needed. The breakout bars, this is based upon what Hubert Senters refers to as a 3-day waiting period. Essentially what he teaches is that once the prices cross the cloud, you wait for 3 consecutive bars that have crossed the cloud before the signal is valid. And he uses the same for the lagging line. So the breakout bars, this setting here, you can adjust that all the way down to 1. It needs to be above 0. If you want to pick up the first bar that closes above the cloud, you would change that to 1. If you want to pick up the scan as Hubert Senters teaches it, then you'll leave it at 3, and that will pick up the third bar that closes above or below the cloud, depending on whether you're looking for long or short positions. So I won't bore you with all of this. There was quite a lot of code required to, for such a humble beginning. There's only half a dozen lines that make up the entire indicator. I certainly had to do an awful lot here to develop the signals and isolate them and eliminate the false and the noise and things like that. So we get down here to the bottom and we have these different plots. You can see the one that's turned on right now is the signal breaking above cloud. Now the one below that, and there's instructions for each of these, so you understand, they're descriptions I should say, not instructions. And the next one below it is the same, the difference being that it adds a signal for bullish confirmation, and that is the lagging line. I'll explain that when we get to the charts, and you'll see the difference one from the other. And then you've got down here the break below the cloud, and then you've got again the break below the cloud with the bearish confirmation. And then I've got a couple of trend continuation signals. This is a trend continuation long, and then you've got the trend continuation long with the bullish confirmation. And the same here for the short side. You've got the raw signal for trend continuation, and then you've got the one that's married to the confirmation signal, which is, again, I said, tied to the lagging line. Okay, so I'll show you now what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on 2 of these at once. This won't work if you're running it in the scan mode, but in a chart mode I can do this. As long as I name these 2 differently, I'm going to set these back to being same. In other words, I'll remove that 1 that I'm putting there to make it unique before we copy and paste it into the scan. But I want to do this so that I plot both of them together, and I'll show you on the chart what they look like so you can see when the 2 signals are working together and when you only have one signal versus the other. So I know that might sound a little confusing, but it'll make sense as soon as we get to the chart. So I'm going to hit apply and OK. And then I'm going to hit apply and OK. and then let's get into some charts. Okay, so now we're at the chart, and what I'll do is I'll zoom in here on this section of the chart so that I can show you these signals in a little greater detail. You can see these spikes in the blue line. There are actually two lines here, and the only indication you have is if you look here at the description here of the underlying study, you've got they either turn to zeros or 1. If you've got a signal, they turn to 1. You see that as I move the mouse cursor across that spike, both of them turn to 1, and when I'm not on the spike, they turn to zeros. And the same thing with this spike over here, they both turn to 1. So you can see by the colors, one is a light blue line, one is kind of a reddish color. So what this means is those two plots that I turned on, one is the raw signal for the cloud breakout long, and the other is the same signal with the added benefit of the confirmation, which is the lagging line being above the cloud. And if you don't understand that and need clarification, again, I'm basing this all upon Hubert Senters' teaching, so go and view those videos after you're done here, and I think it will make a lot of sense to you. So what we've got here is, because the setting is set to a 3-bar breakout, we've got, this is the third bar above the cloud. You can see that's a third bar above the cloud. And if you look back here to the lagging line, it is also above the cloud, which is why we've got both signals firing at the same time. And if you look over here, once again, we've got 3 closes above the cloud, so that's a valid signal there. And then if you look back to here, you've got the lagging line is above the cloud, so you've got the confirmation. All right, so let me double click down here to zoom out to the entire year, and let's go and look at a few of the other charts. If you look at this one here, now if I move the cursor across these spikes, you can see that the blue is spiking to 1 and the red is at 0. So what this tells me is that this signal is lacking bullish confirmation. And we'll zoom in on this so that you can see, but both of these spikes are lacking the bullish confirmation. So let's go ahead and zoom in here and I'll show you. Alright, so we go over here to this one first, and you can see that we have indeed 3 closes above the cloud. But if you were to look back here, let me scroll back a little ways, and if you look back here, you can see that the lagging line right over here is below the cloud, so you don't have bullish confirmation on this, and that's why the second signal, the red one, is still at 0. It is not picking up a signal because it needs that bullish confirmation. And the same over here, you've got 3 bars closing above the cloud, and you don't have the lagging line. If we go across here is the lagging line below the cloud, so you don't have bullish confirmation on that one. So we'll double click to zoom that back out. We'll only look at a couple of more here, and then we'll probably go on to the next signal. And on this one here, again, you've got a couple of signals, and this one here is 3 bars right there. 3 bars above the cloud, just barely, you can see, but you don't have that lagging line above the cloud, so it's not confirming with that indication. And again, like I said, this is based upon Hubert Senters' teaching, so if you need further clarification or want to understand it, just watch those videos. He does a really great job of explaining that stuff. Again, this one here, you go back and look, there's no bullish confirmation. So you've got a raw signal, but you don't have the bullish confirmation. So let's see, we'll double click here, and I think I've got one more to look at because we started off at Facebook, right? And then here's another one. We'll zoom in. Again, you've got 3 bars closing above a cloud, but you don't have the bullish confirmation because the lagging line, if we line this up here, the lagging line is below the cloud. It is not broken out above the cloud. All right. So that's the long signals for cloud breakouts. Next, we'll review the short, and I'll probably look at the same charts and show you exactly how the 2 different signals, one the raw signal, one the bearish confirmation, works on the short side just as it does on the long side. Okay, so I'll flip these around here. I'll press Studies, and then I will go to Edit Studies. I will click on the script icon, open up the code window, scroll down here, and I will turn off these two plots. Remember, I had set this one to a unique value so that we could plot the two together. You see that it generates an error when I change it back. I want to put comments on here so that they turn themselves off. And then we want to look at the break below cloud and the break below cloud with bearish confirmation. So I'll turn both of those on by removing the pound sign. We get an error here, so I'll add a 1 here just to make that unique so we can plot those two together. I'll hit apply and OK, and then apply and OK. And now the signals have moved to signals that catch breakouts below the cloud. All right. So let's see. Let's go back to Baidu. We'll start there. And you can see we've got two signals. And again, I want you to pay attention. When I put my mouse cursor over the spike, you've got the blue line set to 1 and the red line is set to 0. So you've got a raw signal getting picked up, but it doesn't have bearish confirmation. If you look over here to the right, this one has a 1 for both the blue and the red line. This means this cloud breakout has a bearish confirmation signal. So let's take a closer look at those. I'm just going to zoom in on one for now, and I'll scroll over to the other. So you can see that we've got 1, 2, 3 closes below the cloud. And if we look back to the lagging line is above the cloud. So we don't have bearish confirmation. Now it just occurred to me that you guys might be wondering, I'm putting my mouse cursor over here by the spike for picking up the 3-bar break below the cloud, but when I go to the lagging line, I'm moving the mouse cursor way over here. Why am I doing that? Maybe I should explain that real quick. If you're not familiar with Ichimoku, then you might be lost at this point. I'm sorry I didn't explain that to begin with. And again, if you are confused about that, just watch those videos from Hubert Senters. He does such a great job of explaining that stuff. He breaks it down step by step. He shows you all the details, how they're calculated. It's really cool. So here we are at the current candle. I've scrolled all the way to the right on the chart. You can see that the lagging line stops here on September 17th. So that is, I think, 26 days behind. I think that's what it is. It looks like it's probably about that, and I think that's one of the values it could be. So that's the reason why I keep going back in time to look at the lagging line, because this is where the lagging line is now, corresponding to the current price bar. Okay? So again, if that's confusing, watch those videos from Hubert Senters. He will explain that. Okay, so here's the one that we have that does have bearish confirmation. Again, we have the spike here. We have both lines, the blue and the red, are set to 1 at that spike. And we have 3 closes below the cloud. And if we look back here to the lagging line, it is definitely well below the cloud. We have a bearish confirmation. So we'll double click that to go back out to the full view. Okay, so next stock we're going to go to Caterpillar, and we only have one signal here. We'll zoom in. You can see it's a 3-bar break below the cloud with confirmation. Now let's take a look at this a little closer here. You got 1, 2, 3 bars closing below the cloud. This bar closed into the cloud, which resets the timer. You see that this bar closed, and it was the first bar that closed below the cloud. Okay, but this one closed back above the cloud, into the cloud, so that resets the counter. So now you have to wait again. Now this becomes bar 1, bar 2, and bar 3. Okay, and then if you go back and look at the lagging line, once again you can see that it is well below the cloud. We have bearish confirmation. We'll look at one more chart here, Triple D. Double click to look at the entire year, and that one will zoom in and scroll a little bit this way. We can see quite clearly you've got 3 closes below the cloud. If you go back, you can see that the lagging line is well below the cloud, and that gives us the bearish confirmation. Great. Okay, so I've got a little bit more to explain here, and I really appreciate you guys sticking around to view this part, because if you don't watch this part, you're going to be lost and you're not going to know what this thing is doing when it's scanning for you. So stick around here. I'm going to cover a couple of more of the signals, and then I'll show you how to get this into a custom scan window and run some scans, and then we'll look at some stocks and see some stocks that are picking up signals today. All right? Okay, so let's reset the charts. I'll double click to zoom out, and let's scroll back up and start with the first stock on the list. Go to Studies, and then I will click on Edit Studies, and then I will click on the script icon, and I will scroll down to the bottom where I've got the signals plotting. And again, I'm going to change that scan plot from scan 1 back to scan. Then we'll turn those off with the pound sign. It just marks those off as a comment. So what have we got next? We've got trend continuation, and we've got two signals for that. We've got the raw signal, and we've got this raw signal with the bullish confirmation. And it works the same way as the previous examples. It's all based upon the lagging line's position above or below the cloud. So let me turn these both on. And then we'll go ahead and make that unique by putting a 1 there. I'll go ahead and hit apply and OK. And apply and OK. Okay, so we don't have any signals here, so let's move to the next stock chart. And this one we have a couple of signals, so let's zoom in here so I can explain exactly what these signals are picking up. Okay, so the bullish continuation pattern is made up of the turning line being below the standard line and then crossing back above the standard line. Okay, so on this bar, in bars previous, you can see the white line, which is the turning line, is below the standard line, and then this bar here, it crosses back above. So it's essentially a crossover. Think of it like a moving average crossover. And that's what's getting picked up here by this spike. Now the spike is also picking up the fact that it has bullish confirmation along with it. So if we look at that bar right there, the close is right there, and we look back here at the standard line, in that area is well above the cloud, and that's giving it the bullish confirmation. So now we look again over here in this spike, and you can see it's very, very difficult, and that's why it's helpful to have these indicators, because sometimes your eyes don't pick up the math that's actually there. But if you look at that chart, and you look at the upper portion of this chart, and you see we've got the title with the open, high, low, close, and then you got the Ichimoku, and then you've got these colorized numbers here. Well, those are the different values of the lines. So you've got the standard line is 86.76. The white line, or the turning line, is above it, 87.1. That's what the spike is picking up. In the previous bar, it's clear to see with your eyes that the white line is below the blue line. And on the bar that produces the signal, it's a crossover. The white has crossed above the blue. Okay, so we'll double click to zoom out, and then let's go to the next chart. Let's see, we're on Caterpillar, so we'll scroll down here and look at Triple D. Nothing long there, no surprise. Let's look at Facebook. We've got a long signal here. Let's zoom into that and take a look. Okay, so we've got price just barely in the cloud, and that's really one of the qualifications for this signal. And you will get some false signals, so you have to do a little bit of cleanup work after the scans to make sure you're getting valid signals. And again, those signals based upon the teachings of Hubert Senters. So go ahead and view those videos to get the details. What you've got here is a cross above, the white crossing above the blue line, which is what this signal is picking up. So that's a bullish raw signal, and you can see that we've also got a bullish confirmation. If we go back here to the standard line, it is clearly above the cloud, giving us that bullish confirmation. So we'll double click here to zoom out, and I don't really think I've got any others to look at. Not really. I mean, I might look at this one just because I've heard that they've done great things recently. So yeah, there's some good signals there. Meaning signals that worked, which is good to see, right? So you've got this is a bullish continuation, right? So you've got the crossing the white above the blue after being below, and it's corresponding with a bullish confirmation. Same thing here, another crossover, and then you got another crossover here. Okay, so this is trend continuation, bullish crossover, and it's picking these signals up, and you can see how these things are working out. Not every signal is going to work out. As you know, trading involves risk, and historical performance does not predict future performance. I'm butchering that to death, but you get the idea. All right, so let's scroll back up here. Let's go back to Baidu, and we're going to get back in and change these around, and we're going to look at the short trend continuation signals and take a look at those. I'll explain those. Okay, so we're ready to look at the bearish trend continuation signals. And guys, I really appreciate you sticking around this long. I know this is a lengthy video, but this scan based upon this indicator has a lot of moving pieces. I want to make sure you guys understand the signals that are being picked up by the scan, and I want to make sure you guys know how to run the scan and know how to interpret the results. So I really appreciate you sticking around, and we're getting into the home stretch here. So let's go to Studies and then click on Edit Studies. Then we'll click on the script icon, open the code window, and scroll to the bottom where we can turn off those two signals we just viewed. And I need to remember to remove the 1 from this one. Turn that one off, and let's turn on the last two. And we'll put a 1 in front of that to make that one unique. So here what we're looking at is the trend continuation short and the trend continuation short with the signal bearish confirmation. So we'll hit apply and OK. And apply and OK. Now, as markets have been trending in the last couple of months, we should be picking up quite a lot of these signals. And as you can see here, we are. So let's zoom in here. And let's see, let's take a look at this. So what we've got here is we've got the white line that was above the blue line now crossing back below the blue line. Okay, and you can look at the upper chart in the title area to see that that's the case. And you also have both signals firing at the same time because the lagging line is below the cloud. And it's the same with these other two here. You've got, this one's much easier to see. You've got the white line crossing back below the blue line, and it's confirmed by the lagging line below the cloud. Same with that third one there. I'll scroll to the right and let's view this one here. So we've got again a crossover of the white and blue line, and we go back and look at the lagging line. It's below the cloud. That's a confirmation. And this is the most recent signal here, and again it's a valid signal and looks like it's starting to rally. So are all the markets. So let's zoom out here. We'll look at Caterpillar, and let's zoom in on that one. We'll look at that signal, and you can see very clearly here the white line is above the blue line back here, and then as we get to the spike, the white line crosses below. That's bearish continuation. You've got the lagging line below the cloud. Everything is saying that is a valid bearish continuation of the trend. So let's see, let's take a look at one more, and then we're going to move on to the actual scan and building the scan, running the scan, and we'll review a couple of charts, and then we'll wrap things up. As I know this is getting to be a long video, I really appreciate you guys again sticking around this long. Let's see, we'll zoom in and we'll take a look at this. You can see again you got the crossover of the white and blue line. If you scroll back, you can see the lagging line clearly below the cloud. We'll scroll through this. Here's another one. Again, you've got the white crossing black below the blue, lagging line below the cloud. We continue on here, and you can see there's multiple signals on this stock, Triple D. If anybody's familiar with that chart, it's just been in an absolute skydive for quite some time. And again, you've got the crossover, and you got the confirmation with the lagging line. I'll just zoom out here. No sense in beating a dead horse. We all know what this chart looks like. I think that's about all I need to show you on the signals and how they look on the chart. Next, I will show you how to take this code, copy and paste it into a custom scan on your Thinkorswim platform. I'll show you how to run that scan, and then we'll take a look at a few charts just to see how those scans appear. And look, this one here is probably going to show up on a scan. Why? Well, you've got this signal right here showing up on Friday's close. Trend continuation to the south side. All right. So, okay, so next we'll get into building the scan. And we're into the home stretch here. We're going to build a scan, we're going to run it, and then we're going to look at a few charts and wrap things up. I wanted to mention before closing the video out, though, I wanted to make sure you guys understood that anybody out there who's interested in additional scan criteria for additional types of different setups, that you'd like to see presented in a future video, just you can contact us via the Facebook page, Google+. You can leave a comment at a video. You can leave a comment on the web page. You can go to the contact page on the web page. There's lots of different ways that you can provide that information, and I'd be more than happy to provide some more scan criteria on this indicator, because I know it's very popular. I know there's a lot of people out there that are using it. And I'll tell you what, it's been quite the experience for me, because I wanted to make sure I understood it. And I did the 2 hours worth of videos with Hubert Senters, and then I put them on my charts, and I started looking at my positions, and they really helped identify support and resistance. You can see risk reward amounts very quickly, very rapidly. You can find it's really cool. I like it. So we'll see. All right, so next I'll show you how to take that code, drop it into a custom scan, and let's get that done right now. We'll go to Studies. We'll go to Edit Studies, and then I'm going to click on the script icon. It's going to open the code window. We're going to need to copy all of this code to the clipboard, but first what I want to do is I want to reset the plots. I'm going to use the pound sign here to turn these two off, and I'm going to scroll back to the beginning, and I'm not going to turn both of these on, because for the scan, remember, you can only run one at a time. So I'm going to turn on this one, because this one has the bullish confirmation along with it. Now this one is going to pick up only the scans from this signal that have the bullish confirmation. So I'm going to only go through one of these each in the next series, so that way we can save some time. So let's go ahead, now that I've adapted that, we'll go ahead and scroll to the bottom, and I'll show you how to do this. You just take your mouse down here, click and drag, and I'm going to skip the first statement here, declare lower. That's just for chart purposes. You don't really need that. Won't hurt anything, but you don't need it. Right click. I'm going to right click here. I'm going to select copy. Now we don't have to hit apply and OK. I'm just going to hit cancel and cancel. And then I'm going to go to the scan tab on the Thinkorswim platform. Now I've got a few custom studies in here. This is my multi-time frame MACD, so I'm going to hit the X here to erase those. So now we're just basically down to price filter and volume filter. In my preparations for the video, I found that I needed to increase the maximum dollar amount to $500. And we'll go ahead and add a study filter, and then we'll click on this arrow here. That will give us access to add a custom study. Now from the custom study, you need to access the code window. To do that, you click on the Think Script Editor tab. Erase any code that's there. Yours might be different, but you don't need it. And once that's erased, you go ahead and right click and select paste. And you can see we've got no errors. Everything's good. We've got one plot called scan, and it's going to pick up our break above cloud with the bullish confirmation. I'll click OK, and then I'll click the scan button, and we'll go ahead and run the scan, and then take a look at a couple of charts. Okay, we've got two stocks here. Let's punch those into a chart and take a look at the signals. First one is CRUS. You can see the spike here in the far right hand to the chart, and that is a 3-bar break above the cloud. And look, the lagging line, and I want to zoom in on this so that you can see how this looks on a live bar. The lagging line has just closed above the cloud, and that's why we're getting the bullish confirmation. Let's see, the other chart symbol is FULT. And again, we take a look at that, and we see we got 3-bar closes above the cloud. We have the lagging line above the cloud as well, and that's the bullish confirmation that we needed. We'll double click to zoom out. Let's go back to that scan tab and modify the scan so that we can run it for the short side. So I'll scroll down here. I'm going to move quickly here through this because I know we're getting kind of long on the video, and I don't want you guys to lose attention here. So we'll go ahead and turn on the signal breaking below the cloud with the bearish confirmation. We'll hit OK and click the scan button, and then we have a few here. Let's look at KRC and WNR. We'll go to the charts. KRC. Oh, I need to update the study here. We'll go to Study, Edit Studies, click the script icon, scroll to the bottom. And I just need to make this match the same as it shows up in the scan. that's why it wasn't picking that up. So this is the one we have for the scan. So now if I hit apply and OK, they will match. Hit apply and OK, and now we can see we've got this signal back here. We got 3 closes below the cloud, and the lagging line you can see is clearly below the cloud, so you've got that bearish confirmation. Let's see, the other chart was WNR, and you can see again, just like before, we've got 3 closes below the cloud, and the lagging line is over here, just below the cloud. Alright, so let's go back to the scan tab, and we'll modify that one more time. I'm clicking the pencil icon here if you guys aren't catching that. That's how I'm opening up the code window to make these changes. So we'll go ahead and turn off this plot, and we've just got a couple more to take a look at, guys, and then we'll wrap things up. I want you to see the trend continuation long with the bullish confirmation. We'll click OK, and then we'll hit the scan button. We've got a few to look at. Let's pick CCL and RCL. We got CCL here, and we need to make sure we update the study. We'll go to Study, Edit Studies, click the script icon, scroll to the bottom, and we'll flip those signals around so that we match the scan. So we've got the trend continuation with the bullish confirmation. Hit apply and OK, and hit apply and OK, and you can see that we've got that white line crossing just above the blue, and we have the lagging line is up here. Okay, lagging line is above the cloud. That's why this signal is getting picked up on that scan. Let's see, the other chart was RCL, and this will be the last chart we look at on the long side. Then we'll go to shorts. You can see we've got the white line crossing above the blue, and the lagging line is over here, well above the cloud. So you can see that that's a signal with bullish confirmation. So let's see, this time I'll update the study first. Let's go to Study, Edit Studies, click on the script icon, scroll to the bottom here, and we'll turn this one off, and then we'll turn on the signal that we're going to use on the next scan, which is the trend continuation short with the bearish confirmation. I'm clicking apply and OK. I'll go to scan, and we'll go ahead and update that. Scroll to the bottom, make the same changes here as I just made on the chart study. Okay, we'll click OK and then press the scan button. Boy, we got a bunch here. Shorts, huh? Let's see, something that I'm going to remember. COG, okay, COG and JD. Let's do COG and JD. Go to charts, and we'll type in COG. You can see we've got trend continuation to the short side. That white line is crossed below the blue, and the lagging line's below the cloud. That's giving us the bearish confirmation. The other stock was JD. Let's type that in real quick, and you can see that that is also a cross of the white below the blue. And you can see now we're in the cloud. We're not below the cloud, but the price action is in the cloud. Now, if this is confusing you, again, when you watch those videos from Hubert, you will see he explains that the cloud here, as prices move from below the cloud into the cloud, that is actually a resistance level and a potential area for entering shorts. So if this confuses you, again, if you watch those videos from Hubert Senters, he'll clear things up for you, I promise. So you've got the lagging line below the cloud. That's confirming the bearish continuation of the trend. Okay, guys, I really appreciate you sticking around this long. Thanks a lot. I really hope that you watched all the way through here before downloading and trying to run this thing. If you have any questions at all, just drop us a line. There's lots of different ways to contact us, as I've already mentioned. And I really hope that you enjoy this video. I hope that you enjoy the scan. I hope that it works well for you. And I'm looking forward to hearing what you guys have to say and your suggestions for future videos. Thanks for watching. Take care. Thank you for watching this tutorial video. Be sure to visit www.hahn-tech.com for the full library of tutorials. I hope this video increases your knowledge and helps you become more efficient with this topic, whether for home or work. Please support this channel by sharing these videos with your friends and colleagues. Thanks, and take care.